Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. I got a question from one of the students, one of the actors in Egypt, a group of people who will always be in my memory as giving me one of the best experiences. They were amazing. But I got a question this morning where he said, what is the difference between imitation? What is the difference between imitation and, he said, reincarnation? Imitation, reincarnation. And I think he meant to say, what is the difference between imitation and living a character? Imitating and living it. Because I'm not an expert in reincarnation. And I think the best example that comes to mind is to watch the film with Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman being the Ricardos. They're interpreting two characters who are real, two characters, Lucille Ball and her husband in real life, and also the husband who played in I Love Lucy. What is his name? I just said it to myself and I can't think of it. And I said it to myself so many times before. Lucille Ball and Daisy? No, not Daisy. Desi Arnaz. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. This is a moment that you have experienced watching right now, where I was caught in a real situation as a person. I had prepared the name before I started recording, and then I completely forgot about it. And I had to search for it, and I gave myself that permission to search for it in the moment. So I didn't want to go on and pretend that I knew it, because I didn't know it. Or I didn't stop because my preparation did not make me remember. Such things can happen on sets of films or on stage, and you have to deal with them. You have to take into consideration the reality of what is happening around you first, before you can involve your senses and yourself into the given circumstances, real or imaginary, depending on the script. And that's something that people are having a difficult time doing, because they make the assumption that when you get up to do something on stage or in front of a camera, you're doing the scene, which it is called the scene. But you get up from backstage or from behind the camera, and your turn comes as an actor. You're being called by the director. And you automatically change the way that you behave. You automatically change the way that you behave. And you stop being a human. So something happens with us when the camera's on. You know how when you're just by yourself in the privacy of your home or the privacy of being outside somewhere, just walking, and you're doing it as a normal person, you're going about it. But then if you take out the camera or you take out your phone and you try to do a selfie of yourself, you already change. You kind of put on the face because you want to pose from a side that's more, from a side that makes you look better, that doesn't make you look as old, or it doesn't show the small imperfections or bigger imperfections that one has. We try to hide them. But for actors, they cannot do that. Because if actors were to hide those imperfections that we do in everyday life, then they wouldn't be artists. They wouldn't allow the audiences to feel that they can have imperfections, and that's okay. So the audiences who are not trained as actors don't have to go through life in revealing glimpses of things they don't like about themselves, revealing glimpses of things they don't like about themselves. But the actors must. The actors must reveal the entire selves, whole selves, fully. That's why they are the most real. That's why they are the most honest. That's why when I hear people say that actors are not real and what show want out there and what people want to watch are characters who are real, not actors. And I just want to go like this. I don't want to slap anybody, but I want to slap the air, slap the air, slap it with your back hand, slap it with your front hand, slap it in a way where you don't hurt anybody. Slap if you need to get your frustrations out or anger out and you need to slap someone. Guess what? Use the space around you. Let out those frustration by going, huh, try it. Huh. Can you do it? First of all, you have to pinpoint to a person that you are frustrated with. Can you imagine a person you are frustrated with? Can you imagine a person who might have said something to a loved one? Can you imagine a person who did something to you or said something to you that was really, really mean and you could not do anything about it? Well, as an actor, you have the opportunity to do something about it. As an actor, you should know that you can resolve events from your personal lives by giving them to the characters in the different stories that you play and experiencing them, re-experiencing them in a way that they will have the goal to have a different finale, a different end than what had happened in real life. So if I'm having a problem with somebody from my past, which I do, I was dating this guy some years ago, and he was just a mean, he was a horrible person. He was just, I use him in my artistic journey so many times when I have to deal with getting to anger, or I have to deal with how do you forgive someone for hurting you? How do you forgive someone for causing you a lot of pain? So he's the one that I go to. So for that, I thank him. From that aspect, I'm grateful that he was horrible because now I can draw so many needs that I have to resolve in my life and in my artistic life as an actor, as an acting coach. I can draw, I can take from those moments that he in real life created and manipulated and was just not a good person. So when I think of him instead of the character, if I have a scene and I'm looking at my character, the actor, but that doesn't do anything for me to evoke the anger or the slap. And I guess you know why I'm talking about the slap, because I want to get to what happened at the Oscars, but I want to get there in a different way. I'm starting like from the end and I'm going to the beginning. So I will imagine that person from my past, a horrible person from my past, and I can call them horrible because they were horrible. Doesn't mean that I haven't forgiven them. I am working towards forgiveness, but I am actually being helped into getting there by doing all of the acting techniques and acting exercises. So I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones because I can do that, because I have the opportunity to do that, on stage or when teaching in classes or workshops. Or so I'm imagining, I'm looking here right now. Let's just say the character is there. And it's an actor that I actually love. He's a friend. But the situation of the play or the script is asking me to have a reaction towards this person, which is different than the reaction I could have for the actor who's a friend. So if I'm being a character who is in a position of being betrayed by this person and the actor will not do, then I substitute that actor with somebody from your past. I'm using this crazy dude that I was dating some time ago. I'm putting him here, I'm placing him here. He's taller than me. So if we were sitting at this table as I'm sitting, I would look across from the screen at the chair that's right there. So I would look a little bit higher because he's a little bit taller when he's sitting. And then I sensorially, the same way that I described in one of the clips, doing the morning drink, and sensorially you have to create it by using the real drink. Then you put it to the side, and then you see exactly what the weight was of the drink and how much space do you need in your palm to be able to grab that coffee cup, and what arm you use and all of that. Everything that you have to do as an actor, dropping it here, involves your senses, because in everyday life we live with our senses that guide us to not sit where there's no chair, to not walk into a door because we see the door, and all of that. So I'm using my sense of sight, which is I'm visualizing this person. So he's there, tall there, a moment. Relax, because if you don't relax your mind and if you don't relax your body and your muscles, there's tension. You can't do anything if you have tension. So just become aware of relaxation in your body. Feet grounded on the floor. Don't hold them in a way that they're going to be going numb. And then you look at the person, and then you're seeing the person right there on the chair. There he is. I see him. I'm not going to name names because it's not polite, even though I don't like being polite. But for now, I'll get to where I'm going to lose more of the politeness and I'll start naming names. So I look at him, and what comes to me is the face. The face that is, when I first met him, was really not something to look at, nor was the hair, because it was really a bad cut. It's like for those men out there who have hair only on the sides, if you have hair only on the sides here and you're bald, shave everything. Don't leave this hair. Do not leave this hair on, because it makes no sense. If you do shaving of your entire head, and then to substitute for that hair that you don't have, you leave the grown beard that everyone is kind of going with nowadays anyway. It doesn't have to be too long, but it kind of complements the fact that you don't have the bald hair and you have the beard. And it also helps for people, for men who don't have lips. There are men who don't have lips, they have very thin lips. So if you do the beard around that, then the lips will look fuller because you don't see where they end and where they begin. So that's something that I'm also observing from the perspective of an actor. The physical observation of other people is important, the same as the psychological comportment of people is important for actors. The physical comportment of watching other people, so you know what your repertoire is going to be to pull from when you have to go into these characters, and you have to make them as human as possible. So that was something that I didn't think I was going to give you. So after he came into my life and he looked horrible when I first met him. I wouldn't say horrible, but he didn't look as good as he looked after he met me. Because I told him to do all of the things that I mentioned. Bald, let's cut the hair that you have just behind your ears and in the back of your head, because you only had like a little bit, and leave the beard so your lips don't look as thin as they were, they look fuller. So he started looking really, really great. And that's when he realized that there were women who were starting to pay attention to him, where before nobody looked at him. So I transformed him. You know that show, Queer Guys for the Straight Guy or something, that's doing like really well on they have them now like in different languages because they're doing so well. They go to straight guys' houses and they pick a straight guy or straight women and they transform them physically first, and that physical transformation will inform and will correct and will adjust your inner feelings about how you see yourself. And then the people outside will have different reactions towards yourself, and then you start to be more confident. So everything has to do with transformation from the outside in, from the inside out. It doesn't matter, but it's all, the whole self has to be healed, and the whole self has to be paid attention to as actors, but as people too. So acting teaches us about how to actually create all those things in our lives, in our personal lives. So you're looking at that guy, and I'm looking at him the way that he looked before I changed him, before I came into his life, and I completely made him look so much better. He felt so much better. What's the one thing that I remember of the worst many things that he did? The one thing that I remember was I was in a worse situation of my life. I'm not going to go into it right now because it's too intimate, but it was really, really sad. It was something that, because I trusted him and because I was trying to make him happy, and I shouldn't have. I should have taken care of myself before I lost myself to be what he wanted me to be. Lost myself completely. So then, of course, he could take advantage. But I was in the worst situation. And the one thing that he did was, I remember him sitting across, right in the spot where I'm sitting. That's where I'm visualizing him right now. And he's psycho-analyzing me, asking me about acting and wanting to know my most intimate and personal dreams, because he was going to take a class and he needed to have dreams to interpret in this class that he was taking. And I was so naive, and I gave him all of my dreams that I don't even speak out to other people. I might write them in my journal, but I don't even speak them out. They're good to be written in your journal as artists, because the images and the characters of your dreams can be brought into your acting. Dream workshops are becoming so a thing of what's happening now everywhere with artists and even other professionals. But I was giving him all of those dreams, and he was looking at me and he was like writing them down. And I was so happy that he was happy that I was doing something for him. Then he went to the class, and then he came back from that particular class where they interpreted my dreams, my most personal, intimate story that I told them. Comes back, sits here, and he looks at me and he says, "My teacher told me that your dream means that you're not well." My teacher told me that there's something wrong with you because of your dream. So, yeah. Wow. I can't believe that actually happened, but it did. Can't believe it's coming back. It's been so many years. So imagine giving something of your most private self, which is a dream that has to do so much with, I do remember what it was about. It had to do so much with people that I love in my life and regrets that I had over the years. And I handed it over to him thinking that was going to make him happy and that was going to satisfy him so we can have a relationship that's a great one. I was wanting him to love me so much. I was like begging for his love in so many different ways. And then he takes it out of the house, goes to a class, comes back, and the same thing that you have given him, which is your heart and your spirit and your essence of who you are as a human being, plus the people involved in it from your life, so the loved ones that you have. He takes that and comes back with it and says, this is really bad. This is really bad. This is really, really bad because you are really, really a bad person. Yeah. So hearing that, I think it was when I really realized, because similar things like this have happened before, but I never realized that he was so mean-spirited and so manipulative until that moment when it had to do with him talking about people in my life and people that I love in my life, and saying that me having dreams in the way that I did of those people was a bad thing, and that it made me be something wrong with me. It made me have something wrong with me. But anyway, so that person is here. I never got a chance to respond because I was not able to respond to all of those painful situations that he was putting on me. I didn't know how to because I was afraid of losing him. So my goal to keep him and to have this relationship, because I needed to be loved so much. I was so needy of being loved. I didn't respond. But then I got to respond after the relationship stopped, because at some point the relationship came to an end and it was really, really difficult to end it. It was really bad. I was in a really bad situation and for a long time. And I'm so grateful to my family for having been by me during those times, because it was really, really bad. But it took so many years and it took so many of the acting exercises to be able to then recover. And one of those exercises was imagining the person here right now for the first time and saying, I just want to say thank you for actually dissolving our relationship. Because if it weren't for you destroying me in the way that you have, I don't think I would have been able to move on with my life and realize the strength that I have as a person. If it weren't for you being horrific to me and manipulating me and pointing your finger at me as if there was something really wrong with me all the time. I wasn't enough for you. I wasn't sufficient. I wasn't worthy of your love. If you have not done those things, I don't think that I would have been able to get to where I am right now and acknowledge and know the strength and the power and be absolutely sure that I am worthy of love. Be absolutely sure that I deserve to be treated with respect. So I just said that to the imaginary person who's right there. And if that's not sufficient, do I even want to slap him like I did in the beginning, meaning slap the air? Because we never want to be hurtful to someone, but if I did want to slap him, I don't even want to. That's so amazing because in the beginning, before I did the exercise and I spoke through all of the feelings that I had, I was angry and I wanted to slap him and physically hurt him the way that he hurt me emotionally. They say emotional pain feels worse than if somebody punched you really, really hard physically. So physical punch is actually less hurtful. And I'm not encouraging people to punch each other. That's not what I mean. But emotional pain is very, very hurtful. So, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I don't have any kind of feelings about this guy. You know what? I wish him well because I don't think that he was well himself now that I'm thinking about it. He was putting on to me all of the things that he was avoiding about himself. So I do hope that he's okay. I do. I wish you well. I wish you well. Wow. Wow. I wish you well. I wish you well. I wish you well. Incredible. This is where these exercises will take you. They will take you in different directions from the start of them. And that is why this work is so powerful because it can change one person at a time. It can change a world at a time, the smaller world. Okay, that comes in. I feel like I have to repeat. It's a message that's coming in. It changes little worlds of classrooms, workshops, then it goes into the bigger worlds, like countries that I've been to. And it didn't matter of the language or the background or the religions, but these transformative exercises, as the one that I described in having a conversation with an imagined person from your life by using the sensory apparatus to create that across the table, and having an event from your life or having a period from your life recreated by you using the sensory and giving it a different end without even knowing what the end is going to be, without predicting what the end is going to be. You might think, oh, I can't wait to go and slap this guy. I can't wait to like just punch the air and pretend that I'm punching him for all the pain that he's caused me. But as you saw, I don't feel like I want to do that. I don't feel like I want to do that. I got to the point by speaking out as I was doing the exercise where I am actually realizing that I'm not angry and I'm wishing him well. You know, maybe that's forgiveness. I don't know if that's forgiveness. Maybe that's what people call forgiveness. It's you forgive the other person, because if you don't, you're poisoning yourself and you're waiting for the other person to die. So with that comes you doing something great for yourself and forgiving another person. You're taking care of yourself. You're not letting that other human being be in your power and take over your power. Wow, I didn't expect that. So the slap, everybody's been talking about the slap, and that's what I started with, the slap from the Oscars. Will Smith and Chris Rock and Jada Pinkett Smith, and I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I just feel that, you know, the world is such a different place than years ago, especially now with all the killings and all the rapes and all the murders of children and innocent people in Ukraine. No matter how much you try to continue to live life the way that we've lived it until now, I don't see how that's possible. You know, people say you have to go on. You have to go on and you have to live. And again, I don't want to take away from all the horrible atrocities and all the pain and all the things that the Ukrainian people are going through for no reason at all, and say that I'm feeling bad, because that would make me feel like, oh my God, what am I talking about? I'm safe in my apartment in New York. So I'm not putting myself in a situation where I'm comparing of my feelings with theirs. God, no, God, no, I'm not doing that. And I hope that doesn't come out as that. But at the same time, while watching, I turn on the TV and I watch it, and I feel this emotional pain that I have when I watch that such bodies of people are being put into mass graves, and you see a person with a bicycle who's just trying to kind of live his life being bombarded and hunted down by the Russians and Vladimir Putin, whom I don't even know how this is permitted in today's society, and NATO and America and all the people who are supposed to be in power of making decisions are allowing for something to happen. I mean, I don't have to be a politician to ask that question. I mean, I know there's politicians out there and they're not answering the question. They have forms and they have regulations and institutions that were placed, I don't know how many years ago, when the world was different. But now the world has changed. There's a madman on the loose who's hiding somewhere where he's safe with his loved ones. That's Putin. And he's ordering the killings of the Ukrainian people and the death of the government, with Zelensky as the leader. And it's just so sad. It's like when I hear people say, well, you just go on, and well, you can't go on. You have to adjust to how you live your life, because if you're an actor on the script, on the stage, you can't go on the same. If such an event comes in the middle of the film, if such an event happens in the middle of a film where you watch as a whole country in the central of Europe, one of the most beautiful countries and people in Central Europe, is being destroyed, and its people are being killed for no reason, but because a man, his ego and his craziness has decided to do so, then you react to that and you live. You go on living as the observer because you're not there, but you can't go on living without taking that into consideration and without allowing those images affect you. They affect you. And it's just very sad. I don't know if you saw the Sean Penn. Sean Penn did this beautiful interview on different channels, CNN, MSNBC, I think. But if you look for his interview, he got the opportunity to meet with President Zelensky, and he was in Ukraine, and now he's helping through an organization called CORE for people to be able to donate food and clothes and money, and just to help in this war that's being put on the Ukrainian people by the Russians with Putin. And it was so, I was watching him like speak, and it's so extraordinary how you watch like actors speak about something that's so horrible, and you can see they're being affected by it, and he was holding back tears, and he was just in awe of the courage of the people and of President Zelensky. But at the same time, he was in so much pain when he was describing the rapes of the women and the killings of their parents, of the parents in front of the children, that it was so moving and so painful to watch him describe his experiences there. So just like watching actors, describe something is so much more alive and so much more impactful, because they recreate what they're saying, they feel what they're saying. And then you see nowadays reporters and journalists kind of allowing themselves to shed the cover that they've kept on for so many years, where they thought that they have to be neutral in reporting something. But now you see, even with the reporters, that they can't help but reveal their pain in having to see the horror that's happening in Ukraine. So I think, in a sense, the world is becoming, I don't know, the world is becoming a little bit more unafraid to be vulnerable. But it's due to so many atrocities and so much pain that it just feels like it's getting more unstable and scary, to be honest. I think yeah, but I don't know. Now I feel like, yeah. Do I want to say any more about Will Smith and the slap? I just felt that, Sean Penn, speaking of, he was saying that the Oscars could have made such a huge diversion from their usual celebration, especially because the celebration of the performances, the Oscar celebration, happened during this war. And Sean Penn was calling for them to actually allow President Zelensky to do a video briefing, since he was an actor from, Servant of the People, the show on television, which I think really made Putin upset, to be honest, if I think about it. I think Putin was so upset when he was watching the series in Ukraine with President Zelensky playing a president and talking about the corruption and talking about the hypocrisies and the propaganda that Russia was about. I think he was watching and he was like, I'm going to go get that guy for sure. He was doing that. But Sean Penn was saying, the president, being that he was an actor and he had a production company, he was in films and he produced shows, he should have been invited to the Oscars. And, they didn't want to do that, because what these people are doing, these people in power here, when it comes to the business of entertainment, they are the people in power, and they stay within that box, within the certainty. They think they are living in a certain little place where their job is going to be secure, and they're going to keep doing things the way that they've been doing them. They don't want to go and take a risk. They don't want to go outside of the norm. They don't want to say, let's invite Zelensky. Let's give them 2 minutes because the war is happening. We're doing the ceremony, we're giving Oscars due to the actors' great performances. Okay, that's wonderful. We have to go on with our life, but at the same time, allow what's happening in reality, which is the war in Ukraine for no reason at all. The killing of Ukrainians. Let him come. Let him come. Give him a little bit of the power that he deserves from the Academy due to his bravery as an actor to portray a president and reveal the corruption and reveal the propaganda that was happening, having to do with Ukraine, but mostly having to do with Russia. He was telling the truth about what is happening politically in that series. So these performances that are happening on the stage of the Oscar, and why they're getting nominated for those performances, is because they're revelatory of different characters and different situations, fictional or alive. So why would you not invite somebody who is fighting in real life for his life, for the life of his people who are getting killed with bags of potatoes, coming back from just getting some potatoes from the store, and they're getting killed with the potatoes, just running on the street, bodies they can't even pick up because they're being shot at. And you're not letting that happen because you want to stay within the box. The producer of the Oscars, he wants to stay within the box with what he knows. He wants to stay with what they know. They want to stay with what they know, so they're going to be safe. This is all the institutions everywhere, here, all over the world. Do something. Take a risk. Take a risk with the consequence. Take a risk, even if it means that you might lose something, but maybe by you losing something will do some good to other people. Don't be selfish. Take a risk and give other people the opportunity to be able to bring their perspective in the way that they tell stories or in the way that they teach us. Like President Zelensky teaching us to be brave and saying to all of us, you gotta change, you gotta do more, because if you're not doing more, NATO, if you're not doing more, America, if you're not doing more, all of the countries that can do more, this, what is happening in Ukraine, is going to come closer and closer and closer to our doorsteps. And yet we're standing back because there were some regulations that were being put in place, I don't know how many years ago. And they can't do anything more than to sit and watch. So they didn't want Zelensky, they didn't want President Zelensky. No, that would have been too much. To have President Zelensky give a brief, make a statement of a minute or 2 minutes, that would have been too much for the American celebration, for the Oscar celebration, and for the people who are organizing it and producing it. That would have been too much out of the box. We can't think out of the box. We have imagination, but we can use the imagination when it comes to something that's new, which is taking a risk with something. No, but then you can have the incident that happened with Will Smith. I mean, talk about like the violence that's happening against the people who would give anything to live their lives the same way that they lived them before the Putin invasion. And then you have Will Smith, who's trying to please his wife. I feel sad for him. But in the sense that, you know, I can't talk about the fact that I'm sure there's something more that's happening, you know, mentally. I'm not an expert when it comes to mental illness, but I know what it's like to be a little bit, you know, to have to deal with with some depression in my life. And but to see him do that in order to please his wife, just, I think that's what made me think of doing this exercise with the person in my life. You know, everything that happens when he went to poor Chris Rock, who was just an exemplary man, artist, sitting there and taking that slap without doing anything back. I'm sure he was probably talking, allowing his inner voice to calm him down, because he talks about him having to do a lot of therapy in his life to be able to respond maybe the way that he did. He was talking about that in prior interviews, not since the whole event happened. But to me, talk about the sensory work, when Will Smith was walking towards the stage, and I didn't know what it was at first, but then what triggered in me something that was like really scary from my life and different events, and some of them that I had just mentioned, and one of them that I described here. It wasn't so much the gesture. It wasn't the gesture of it. It was the sound that it made. You know, it's again sensory training. I'm trained with to work with my senses all the time because of the method and the actor studio. So when I saw him walking on the stage, but then I was watching and I didn't know if it was for real or not. I didn't even think anymore when I heard the sound. It was like the sound, but it made even a different sound because it was like in the side of his face to the ear, and it made the sound. It was like so, even now when I just concentrate as an acting exercise on the sound of the slap. If I give myself enough time, which is a few minutes, to hear that sound, and then I link it to some event that was scary in my life, I can go there. I talked too much today, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I hope this is going to be something that you can learn from for your acting and for your life, because I think acting is life and life is acting. As acting is about human behavior and comportment and social training and emotional training and psychological training and the observation and the knowledge of how to be a complex human being or how to portray characters as complex as human beings as they deserve to be given justice as and that they're worthy of. That's what acting professionals have to do. So you can divide your personal, your life from the acting life or the acting life from the personal. They come together, they merge, and through artistry, they become bigger than you and they can be of service in some way to those people who are watching, the spectators, the audience. So thank you so much for listening to me today and seeing me today. Yeah, thank you.